Well, if anything, Sammy, Caleb Williams is awesome. And did I think that this was going to be the talking point coming into this season? Did I think that this is what we were going to be celebrating over the last couple of weeks? Is that, hey, our quarterback is really good and then nothing else matters? We've been here before, a couple of years ago when Justin Fields was going out there and putting up those epic performances and yet going down and, the team not winning. In a way, it was the best of both worlds. Like, well, we know that our quarterback's good or he's putting up a lot of numbers, but we're getting a good draft pick. And even now, with everything that's going on, the Bears are not going to pick better than ninth. They're going to win 4 games, and they're not going to pick better than ninth because there are so many dreadful teams in the NFL. Not that it's really necessary because the Bears, you don't need the number 1 pick, but at the same time, you want a lot of picks because the Bears do have some holes. And I know that everybody's exaggerating. This team doesn't have as many holes as you think it is. It's got some bad attitudes. And you know what? Let's dive a little bit deeper. And Sammy, let's go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Adam Rank.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
Brought to you by Circa Sports Illinois, the sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to the wrap-up edition of the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank. Forgive the delay. I was out calling Titans Cowboys on Sunday afternoon. A lot of you were like, what do you mean? Cowboys are playing the Buccaneers. I was talking about Wyoming Cowboys, home of Fennis Dembo, Sundance Wicks. By the way, if you went back and watched that broadcast, now Sundance Wicks, who is the head coach of the University of Wyoming, he was at Green Bay last year. And of course, I snuck in a little joke early on in the broadcast, like, yeah, wisely got out of Green Bay, as everybody should. But I went back and watched this game again and didn't want to. It was horrific, and it was bad as I thought it was going to be. And I thought maybe the Bears at some point that pride would kick in, and it is not. And it's now become a team of business decisions and people like looking out for and you know what, whatever. Like, I guess, like, let's go out that way. I mean, I don't know, what's the point? Like, I'm sitting there today. So this afternoon, I'm recording this on Monday morning. This afternoon, I've got a scrimmage for my Team Fearless, the all-star team that I coach. And there's a girl who deathly ill. And I'm like, please, and I'm trying to, I have to convince her and her parent, like, please don't play in our scrimmage tonight. Like, you're fine. I know how good you are. Like, it's fine. And the Bears players are the opposite of that. Like, they just don't want to be there. They're not out there to prove anything. They're not playing for their jobs for next season. And we have a number of guys who are going to be safe. Like, Jalen Johnson is going to be safe, and DJ Morris on a long-term contract. But Keenan Allen is still playing for something, so he's out there busting his ass. And then at the same time, you have some of these players who are like, yeah, we're mailing it in. And not mailing, but, like they're making business decisions. And I remember years ago being on what was then NFL AM before Good Morning Football, talking about a player like not giving his best effort. And I remember a former player being like, are you kidding me? Like, everybody's out there giving their best effort, blah, blah. And like, I remember thinking like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I know. And I had it confirmed to me by a former player who I used to work with. I'll let you speculate on who said this to me, who was like, oh yeah, like I wanted to last in the NFL long enough just to get the pension. I remember a prominent NFL quarterback who was a former first round pick who was on his like 3rd team, and he knew his shoulder was done, but he's like, I'm trying to hang around long enough. I never want to throw a pass so I can continue to sit here and be the 3rd quarterback and just grab a paycheck. So these guys, they're like us. A lot of them some of them will look at it as, I'm sorry to blow this for you, but like some of them will look at it as employment. And you know what? Some guys don't want to get hurt, and they understand. Like the same concept of sitting out a bowl game for these college players. These NFL players are starting to kick that in as well. And I don't necessarily hate, like we talked about this with Caleb Williams. Like, Caleb Williams sat out the Holiday Bowl. Like, why are we not approaching these last 2 weeks like the Holiday Bowl? Now, I know Caleb's a competitor and everything like that, but like at the same time, like, I don't know. I don't want something to happen, especially not in week 18. But there is something about playing in Green Bay, whatever. I don't know. Like for me, I would just go out there and just try to just make the best of it. And I don't know. It's so tough because he's next. Like, and again, this is why we don't need 17 games in an NFL season. Like, we got it. We know who's good. We know who's not good. But it's all crazy. And you know what though? But it gives people who like to enjoy playing fantasy and other things an opportunity to still have something to watch over the next 2 weeks during the holidays and all that good stuff. And speaking of which, the world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is right at your fingertip in Illinois. The Circa Sports app is sports betting the way it should be. Experience high betting limits, better money line split, more in-game betting, and the best customer service. Download your new bookie today. Go to circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Illinois. And if you or somebody you know has a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text ILGAMB to 833-234. And the Circa crew, led by Derek Stevens, the owner, him and along with his brother Greg, own Circa. And of course, we had David Rossborough with us on Friday. We started off like a house of fire. We picked the Rams. I think I did okay in my picks. However, we are now looking at but again, we did pretty well. But Derek and all those guys were out there enjoying everything that was going on with the Detroit Lions. And so it was a terrible performance by the Chicago Bears. And of course, everybody is on the gas, rooting for Ben Johnson. Now, the play in question with Jared Goff, where he stumbles, now that is drawn up because Jordan Love actually tripped over himself in a game against the Bears, stumbled, and then threw probably a touchdown pass. And then the Lions designed that. And that is absolutely sinister. Like, hey, we're gonna fake, like, it's on two levels. It was a shot at the Packers, and even more so a shot at the Bears. Is that Ben Johnson trying to convince everybody that he should be the head coach of the Chicago Bears? A lot of you are already set and sold and all that stuff. And again, I have my personal reasons for doubting Ben Johnson. It's funny too because, and I don't want to make fun of anybody. Who am I? Yeah, of course I do. There was a former player, Fernando Lockett, who was on with Mike Robb and some other, I think it was Marshawn Lynch, talking about the culture of the Bears a number of years ago. It was during the Mark Trestman era. And I'm like, this is why I fear picking up coordinators. And some person who, and God bless them, because they were so sincere. They spent a lot of text on Twitter. Like, Mark Trestman is a CFL coach. And you ever, like, I hate typing LOL when it's I feel like we should now use the acronym LLOL as in literal laugh out loud. Because I literally laughed out loud. Like, oh my God, I forgot Mark Trestman was a CFL coach. And if that's what you were doing to determine the fact that this proves it, he was a good, I'm like, oh my God. And I know there's Vikings fans who watch this show, and I go on Vikings TikTok all the time. I don't know how I got involved in Vikings TikTok. Bud Grant. Okay, Bud Grant was the rare example of somebody who coached in the CFL who transferred his game to the NFL. And it was a lot different back then. The NFL in the 70s compared to the NFL now, the CFL in the 70s compared to the CFL now. It's an absolute joke. Okay? It's the CFL. I don't even know if it's UFL levels. God bless our Canadian friends. I love Canada. Everybody knows I love Canada. I love healthcare. So yeah, I love Canada. I will tell you, like, it's not the same. But the fact that Mark Trestman was a CFL head coach was because nobody in the NFL wanted him except for the Bears. That is actually not, it's proving my point more than it's proving your point. A guy who was determined by NFL owners, like, yeah, this guy shouldn't be coaching in the NFL, had to go to Canada. This is the kind of people. And I know that everybody, God, and this is the thing that's so frustrating, is the Halas family becomes the boogeyman. Okay, they have made terrible coaching hires. And you want to know why they've made terrible coaching hires is that they had Ted Phillips. They were using these outside consultants like Bill Polian, and they made awful hires. Guess what? None of those people are involved anymore. Okay? The Halas family understood the errors of their ways. Ted Phillips is gone. They're not using a consultant. Instead of using a consultant, Kevin Warren is the guy in charge. And if they decide that they're going with Ben Johnson, if Ben Johnson wants to come to Chicago, and make no mistake about this for everybody out there who's like, who would even want to coach the Bears? Like everybody. A lot of people would want to coach the Bears. Are you not watching Caleb Williams? A lot of people want to coach the Chicago Bears. It is not, we're going to have no shortage of suitors for this Chicago Bears job. Do not fool yourselves. I understand how bad it is. Going into last season, the Commanders, who had the number 2 pick, so you assumed they were going to get Jayden Daniels. Like, that was a team that for a year had struggled. Now they had an ownership change. They brought in the Sixers owner, who over the course of time might or not proved to be good, but whatever. Still an upgrade over Dan Snyder. But still, people want to be NFL head coaches. And when you look at a situation like the Bears, who are going to have a top 10 pick in Caleb Williams, a lot of people want to coach this team. And if they decide on Ben Johnson, okay, I'm going to support it. I'm not like a lot of you who will still sit here and harbor grudges. I mean, I guess I still do because I'm still pissed that they don't hire Bruce Arians. Yeah, that the whole thing with Trestman proves my point, because I would have gone with a proven coach like Bruce Arians. That's what you're arguing my point, as opposed to going with the unknown, a guy who coached CFL, or you could have had the reigning coach of the year. That was, and you guys are now, like last year, you could have had Dan Quinn, and I know that Harbaugh being an outlier. I'll say Harbaugh's an outlier. I will concede that Harbaugh is an outlier, and it's not fair to use the comparison of Vrabel to Harbaugh. I understand that. Fair enough. I won't do that to you. But again, if you're going Ben Johnson this year, I have to believe you didn't want Harbaugh last year because you don't like retreads. It's you. You don't like retreads. You said it, not me. I love retreads. I love established head coaches or coaches who know how to win. Here's my deal. Okay? I will not use Harbaugh as the example. I will use Dan Quinn as the example. A lot of people don't think Dan Quinn's a good coach. Why would you hire Dan Quinn? You could have Dave Canales. Okay, which team looks better right now? The Commanders or the Panthers? Which situation would you like to be in right now? And again, you're, well, the hell? No, don't bring up the family. It's not the McCaskies. The McCaskies have made some bad hires, okay? This is why Kevin Warren is here, to ensure that we're not making the improper hire. How can I? Because he's been in the NFL for a long time, and he's done a lot of great things in this league. And if you don't believe me, take a drive to Minnesota right now and take a look at that stadium. People thought that stadium would never get finished either. You don't follow the NFL as closely as you follow the Bears. You don't understand what happens with these stadium deals. It takes a long time for these things to get together. The Rams moved to St. Louis, kick-started in 1980 before it was eventually finished in 1995. So you don't understand, and it's fine. Okay? So stop going back to the same default. I'm just telling you that again, like what? You know what? Watch yesterday. Jameson Williams and him and Tyreek Stevenson are doing their dumb stuff. Jameson Williams gets a penalty, and Dan Campbell chews him out for like 30 seconds on the sideline. Maybe I'm exaggerating. And then he goes back into the game and catches a touchdown pass. That's the kind of accountability and leadership that this team needs. Ben Johnson survives and thrives because Dan Campbell is down there taking care of the stuff. And there's a real chance that if we do not bring in somebody, and listen, if you don't like Mike Vrabel for whatever reason, then make it Brian Flores. You need an adult here with this. I just don't understand how you can. Obviously, you got to do everything you can for Caleb Williams. That's why the offensive coordinator job is so important. And if you're sitting here hiring a coach, they're like, we're hiring an offensive-minded coach to make sure that Caleb Williams is good. And he's going to spend all of his time nurturing Caleb Williams to the point that the defense can run amok, special teams cannot pay attention. I don't want that business. I don't want to be this team that's losing 45 to 49 or whatever, getting away with stuff. I want somebody who's holding people accountable. I don't want it to be Eric Bieniemy though. I will sign the document that says not Eric Bieniemy. I want an NFL coach. That's what I want. And I know that you're all out there like, look at this. Oh, look at the great thing. Dave Canales killing it with the Panthers right now. Though Bryce Young did have a good game yesterday. I think the coaching hire, the head coach, the offensive coordinator who's going to come along with the head coach is the most important thing to focus on. And if Ben Johnson wants to come in, I have concerns. I do. I do. And I don't know. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch the Lions go out. Well, it's fun for them, not for us. But that doesn't necessarily translate over. And I think a lot of you, you have to have been you've been around long enough to know that this doesn't always work. This doesn't always translate. I remember when Jason Garrett was there on the sideline of the Dallas Cowboys. Like, yeah, this will work. I don't know. And I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I still think Caleb Williams is a stud. By the way, I'm ordering up some Caleb Williams sports cards from our friends at Windy City Sports Cards. That's right. With the holidays right around the corner, you forgot a gift. Well, check out our friends at Windy City Sports Cards. They specialize in everything Chicago sports. Whether you are a fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky. Who else am I missing from this great lineage of Chicago teams? They have got you covered with a wide variety of items, not just sports cards, but autographed memorabilia, helmets, pictures, all sorts of cool things. Plus, even if you're not a fan of the Chicago sports teams, they've got you covered with a wide variety of items. And by the way, I got to start collecting some Arsenal stuff. Want to start adorning the wall with some Arsenal. By the way, if you know anybody who has an Arsenal podcast, I want to join. Maybe we should do the Sick Podcast Arsenal for our American viewers. How would an Arsenal? I wonder. Research this, Sammy. See what an Arsenal podcast would do. You know what? We could actually. I got a friend, Drew Levy, who might actually be good if we started a podcast about Arsenal right in the middle of the season, right during our championship run. In any event, listen. So, and I would sit here. I was going to spend some time talking about you. Caleb's good. We got plenty of time to talk about this I don't know when we're doing Take It to the Rank. We'll be back. There'll be a Take It to the Rank at some point. Don't worry about that. But really want to thank you guys. And if I don't see you before the holiday season officially gets well underway, Merry Christmas to all of you that celebrate. Happy holidays and a great new year. All that good stuff. I know it sucks right now and it's tough to battle through, but in any event, thank you so much for being here, spending part of your day here with me, and really for the entirety of the season. This clearly did not go the way that we thought it was going to go, and it's very disappointing for us. We had such high hopes, and people ask, like, is Caleb Williams' season a disappointment? I'm like, results-wise, it's a disappointment, but it is nice to know that we do have the quarterback of the future. The guy is an absolute stud. When you got fans of other teams coming up and trying to console you, being like, this guy really rocks, hopefully the Bears will do the right thing. And I know that a lot of you have no faith in that, and that's fine. You've been burned before. I don't blame you. Like, hey, listen, the new trailer for Superman is out. I'm all in, even though I know better than anybody else. But still, I have that. That's my heart. That's the way that I choose to live my life, is that I'm just gonna sit here and be rooted in optimism. And I hope you can as well. But if not, have a great holiday season, and I hope to see you soon. Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Brought to you by Circa Sports Illinois.